12,000 years ago, under a sky unscarred by city lights, the Giza Plateau trembles. A pulse of light splits the night, not from the stars, but from a craft descending silently from the heavens. Its glow bathes the limestone cliffs, casting shadows that dance like ancient spirits. Figures emerge tall, otherworldly, their eyes gleaming with knowledge beyond human reach. They gesture toward the ground, and the earth itself seems to obey, stones rising as if weightless, forming the first blocks of what will become the Great Pyramid. Were these beings gods, as the ancients believed, or visitors from another world, leaving a monument to whisper their existence across millennia? Why does the Great Pyramid align with stars that shone differently 10,000 years ago? And what lies in the hidden chamber, sealed for ages, that modern science discovered but cannot reach? These questions burn unanswered, daring us to wonder, are the pyramids of Giza the work of human hands or a message from the stars, etched in stone to haunt us forever? The scene fades, but the mystery lingers. Let us step back to explore this possibility, one that has captivated minds since Erich von Däniken published Chariots of the Gods in 1968. He proposed a radical idea. The pyramids, with their massive granite blocks and uncanny precision, could not have been built by humans alone. Not with the copper chisels and wooden sledges of 4,500 years ago. The Great Pyramid, standing 481 foot tall, contains stones weighing up to 80 tons, cut so precisely that a knife blade cannot slip between them. How could a civilization just emerging from mud brick villages achieve such feats? Von Dänen's answer was extraterrestrials, beings who brought advanced technology to Earth, perhaps teaching humans or building the pyramids themselves. Mainstream archaeologists scoffed, pointing to evidence of human labor, quarry marks, worker camps, and ramps uncovered near Giza. Yet the questions persist, fueled by details that defy easy explanation, details that pull us deeper into the enigma. Imagine Egypt 12,000 years ago, long before the pharaohs, during the African humid period. The Sahara is not a desert, but a savanna, alive with rivers, lakes, and herds of antelope. The Nile runs wide, its banks lush with reeds, and the Giza Plateau rises above seasonal floods. A perfect stage for a monumental act. A people live here, skilled in stonework, perhaps guided by oral traditions passed down through generations. One night, the sky changes, lights appear, moving in ways no star ever could, descending to the plateau. These are not meteors or lightning, but craft, their surfaces gleaming like polished obsidian. The beings who step from them are not human, their forms strange, their movements deliberate. They carry tools that hum with energy, cutting limestone as if it were clay, lifting granite blocks as if they were feathers. The locals or struck call them gods, their ships divine vessels. Together, they begin a project that will outlast empires. Pyramid to mark the earth, aligned with the stars, a beacon for those who will come later. Why choose Giza? The plateau's limestone, formed in ancient seas millions of years ago, is soft enough to carve yet strong enough to endure. Its elevation protects it from floods, and its position align with celestial patterns. The three pyramids, Khufu, Khafre, and Menor, mirror the stars of Orion's belt. As Robert Bauval argued in his Orion correlation theory around 10,500 years before the Common Era. These stars hung in the sky in a pattern that matches the pyramid's layout, with the Sphinx gazing toward the rising of Leo, a constellation tied to divine kingship. Could extraterrestrials have designed this alignment, encoding a message about their origin in the heavens? The Great Pyramid's base is aligned to true north with an error of only a few arc minutes, a feat that challenges even modern surveyors. Such precision suggests knowledge of astronomy and mathematics. Pi and the golden ratio are embedded in the pyramid's proportions far beyond what we attribute to early humans. Were these calculations the work of an advanced civilization or a gift from beings who crossed the cosmos? The technology behind the pyramids deepens the mystery. The granite blocks in the king's chamber, quarried 900 kilometers away in Aswan, weigh up to 80 tons and are polished to a mirror-like finish. Some bear marks long shallow cuts and spiral grooves that resemble the work of high-speed saws or drills. Copper tools, even hardened, struggle against granite's density. Experimental archaeology shows that sand and copper can cut stone. But the process is slow, and the grooves in Giza's granite are too consistent, too deep. Von Daniken suggested lasers or ultrasonic tools, technologies unknown to ancient Egypt, but within the realm of an advanced species. Others propose acoustic levitation, a method where sound waves lift heavy objects, a technique rumored in ancient Tibetan texts. While mainstream scholars argue that thousands of workers over decades could have achieved this with ramps and rollers, the marks remain a puzzle. Could they be traces of a technology lost to time, left by visitors who vanished as silently as they came? Egyptian mythology adds fuel to the speculation. The god Ra, said to sail the heavens in a solar bark, might reflect memories of glowing ships descending from the sky. Carvings in the Temple of Hathor at Dendera show elongated objects emitting rays interpreted by some as light bulbs powered by unknown energy. Archaeologists call these symbolic lotuses. But could they hint at devices gifted by extraterrestrials? The Book of the Dead describes gateways to the stars where souls ascend to join the gods. If the pyramids were built with alien aid, might they have been more than tombs? Perhaps portals, energy hubs, or signals to other worlds. The granite in the king's chamber contains quartz, which generates an electrical charge when vibrated, a phenomenon called zooelectricity. At certain frequencies, around 110 Hz, the chamber resonates, creating standing waves that visitors describe as almost tangible. Could this be an intentional design? A machine powered by the Earth itself, built by beings who understood forces we are only beginning to explore. Modern phenomena keep the mystery alive. In 2023, witnesses near Giza reported lights in the sky, orbs that darted and vanished, too swift for drones, too silent for planes. Social media buzzed with videos, quickly dismissed as hoaxes or optical illusions. But the stories persist. In the 1970s, pilots over Giza noted radar anomalies, signals appearing and disappearing without trace. Some claim the United States National Aeronautics and Space Administration holds satellite images of buried structures under Giza's sands, rectangles, and grids that suggest lost chambers or cities. These images, theorists argue, are classified, hidden to preserve the narrative that humans alone built the pyramids. Egypt's strict control over archaeological digs, often requiring high-level permits, fuels suspicion. Why limit access to the plateau? What secrets lie beneath the sand, guarded by time and bureaucracy? Consider a darker possibility. The pyramids were not a gift, but a warning. Imagine extraterrestrials arriving during the waning ice age, knowing a cataclysm was near the Younger Dryas, a sudden freeze that struck 900 years ago. They built the pyramids to endure floods and climatic shifts, a monument to preserve knowledge through chaos. The Hidden Void, discovered in 2017 via muon radiography, stretches 30 m above the Grand Gallery. Inaccessible, its purpose unknown, could hold artifacts, power source, or even a message from those ancient visitors. Some speculate it contains the Ark of the Covenant, a device of immense power or technology from a lost age. If aliens were involved, they might have left the pyramids as a beacon, a way to signal their return or to warn us of dangers we cannot yet comprehend. The legend of Atlantis weaves into this enigma. Edgar Cayce, a 20th century mystic, claimed the Sphinx guards a hall of records, a repository of Atlantean knowledge from a civilization lost to floods 12,000 years ago. If Atlantis existed, its survivors might have fled to the Nile, guided by extraterrestrials to build the pyramids as a new home for their wisdom. The floods of the post-Ice Age era, known as Meltwater Pulse 1A, raised sea levels by meters in a century, drowning coastlines. Could the pyramids safe on Giza's high ground be the last relics of that drowned world? Their builder's story erased by water. Myths across cultures. Sumerian, Utnapishtim, Hebrew Noah, Greek Deucalion speak of a great deluge. Were these echoes of a real catastrophe witnessed by humans and their celestial allies? The extraterrestrial hypothesis faces challenges. Archaeologists point to human evidence. The Khufu ship, a cedar vessel buried near the Great Pyramid, and quarry marks naming the pharaoh. These suggest a human project driven by faith and labor. Yet, the absence of Khufu's body in the pyramid sarcophagus raises doubts. Was it a tomb or something else? The precision of the stonework, the celestial alignments, and the unexplained marks keep the questions alive. If aliens did not build the pyramids, could they have inspired them, sharing knowledge that was later forgotten? The global pattern of megalithic sites. Puma Punku's interlocking stones. Baalbek's 800-ton blocks. Yanaguni's submerged terraces. Suggests a shared impulse. Perhaps a shared teacher. Were these sites linked by a cosmic network? A plan set in motion by beings who saw Earth as a stage for their legacy. As the night deepens, the Giza Plateau grows still, the pyramids standing like silent sentinels. Their stones hold no answers, only questions that echo across time. Were they built by humans, aliens, or both? Do they guard secrets we are not ready to know? The stars above shift slowly as they did when those first lights touched the desert. This is Mr. H from Codex of the Lost, inviting you to carry these mysteries into your dreams. If you're enjoying this journey through the shadows of history, consider liking and subscribing. And don't forget to tap that bell to join us for more tales under the stars. Wherever you are, under your own patch of night sky, let me know where you're listening from and what time it is there. For now, let the silence of the desert guide you to rest. Good night. Deep beneath the Great Pyramid of Giza, a secret waits, sealed in stone, untouched by human hands for millennia. In 2017, scientists using cosmic ray detectors uncovered a void, a massive chamber 30 m long, hidden above the Grand Gallery. No passage leads to it. No record mentions it, and its purpose remains a mystery that gnaws at the edges of our understanding. What lies within this inaccessible space? Is it a forgotten treasury of ancient knowledge, a device of unimaginable power, or something so profound that its discovery could rewrite the story of humanity? Why has this chamber remained hidden? And what forces, human or otherwise, have ensured its secrecy? This hidden void, detected through muon radiography, a technique that uses cosmic particles to map unseen spaces, has sparked a firestorm of speculation. Unlike the known chambers of the Great Pyramid, such as the King's Chamber or the Queen's Chamber, this space is not connected to any visible corridor. Its size rivals the Grand Gallery itself. A soaring passageway with corbelled walls that climb nearly 8 m high. Mainstream archaeologists suggest it may be a relieving chamber designed to ease the weight of the pyramid's massive stones. But its inaccessibility raises doubts. Why build such a vast space, then seal it so completely? The lack of access suggests intent, a deliberate act to conceal something from the world. Could it hold artifacts that challenge our timeline of history or perhaps technology from an era before the pharaohs? The void's discovery has reignited debates about the pyramid's purpose, pushing us to question whether it was merely a tomb or something far more enigmatic. Let us journey back to a time before the Old Kingdom, to an Egypt where the Nile flowed through a greener land 12,000 years ago. The Giza Plateau stands as a beacon, its limestone cliffs rising above a savanna dotted with acacia trees. Here, a civilization, perhaps human, perhaps guided by forces beyond our world, builds a monument to endure the ages. They carve chambers deep within the pyramid, not for kings, but for a purpose tied to the cosmos. The hidden void, now sealed, might have been the heart of their design, a sanctum for a device that harnessed energies we cannot yet name. Some theorists propose it contains the Ark of the Covenant, a biblical artifact said to hold divine power, brought to Egypt in a forgotten migration. Others imagine a crystalline mechanism powered by the quartz in the pyramid's granite capable of generating vibrations that resonate with the Earth's core. These ideas, while speculative, stem from the pyramid's own strangeness. Its chambers and shafts seem designed for more than burial, their precision hinting at a function lost to time. The Grand Gallery itself offers clues. Its walls lined with limestone blocks fitted so tightly that a hair cannot pass between them slope upward in a way that suggests more than a corridor. Some researchers believe it could amplify sound or energy, its shape focusing vibrations like a lens focuses light. Visitors to the king's chamber report a peculiar effect. Certain tones around 110 Hz linger, creating a sensation that the room itself is alive. Could the hidden void above be part of this system? A chamber designed to enhance or contain these vibrations. The granite in the king's chamber, rich with quartz crystals, can produce an electrical charge when stressed, a phenomenon known as piezoelectricity. If the pyramid was built to resonate, the void might have housed a component that completed this ancient machine. Its purpose obscured when later pharaohs repurposed the structure for their own glory. Conspiracy theories swirl around the void's secrecy. Egypt's archaeological authorities have been cautious, limiting access to the pyramid's interior and restricting new excavations. Some claim this is no mere bureaucracy, but a deliberate effort to hide a truth too disruptive to reveal. Could the void contain evidence of a civilization predating the pharaohs? One with knowledge so advanced it would upend our understanding of history. Rumors persist that early explorers in the 19th century found sealed chambers but were silenced, their records buried in private archives. The Egyptian government, some say, fears that revealing the void's contents would challenge the narrative of the pyramids as pharaonic tombs, threatening cultural heritage and global perceptions. These claims, though unproven, gained traction from the pyramid's history of secrets. Chambers like the relieving spaces above the king's chamber were unknown until modern times, hinting at how much remains undiscovered. Consider the possibility that the void was meant to stay hidden, not just from us, but from the ancients themselves. Imagine a culture 12,000 years ago facing a cataclysm. The Younger Dryas, a sudden return to glacial cold that shattered ecosystems. They build the pyramid as a time capsule, sealing their most precious knowledge in a chamber no one could reach, ensuring it survives the floods and chaos to come. The void might hold tablets of stone or metal, inscribed with wisdom from a lost age, perhaps even from a civilization like Atlantis. As Edgar Cayce suggested, his visions described a hall of records beneath the Sphinx linked to the pyramids containing the history of a drowned world. If the void is part of this, it could hold proof of a forgotten people, their science, or their contact with beings from beyond Earth. The inaccessibility of the chamber supports this idea. Its builders wanted it preserved, not plundered. The pyramid's other chambers deepen the mystery. The Queen's Chamber, lower in the structure, contains two small shafts that lead nowhere, blocked by stone doors with copper fittings. These shafts, once thought to be ventilation ducts, align with specific stars Orion and Sirius around 500 years before the Common Era. But if the pyramid is older, as some suggest, these alignments might have targeted different stars in an earlier sky, reflecting a celestial purpose. Could the hidden void be linked to these shafts, part of a system designed to channel cosmic energies or signals? The precision of the pyramid's construction, its base square to within centimeters, its sides aligned to true north with astonishing accuracy, suggests a purpose beyond human burial. The void might have been the final piece, a space where the pyramid's true function was activated, only to be sealed when its creators vanished. Another theory posits that the void holds technology from a pre-Ice Age civilization, perhaps one that mastered energy manipulation. The granite blocks with their piezoelectric properties could have been part of a device that generated power, not for machines as we know them, but for rituals or communication with distant realms. Some speculate the pyramid was a beacon signaling to other worlds or guiding ships across the cosmos. The void might contain the core of this system, a crystal matrix, a metallic artifact, or something we cannot yet imagine. In 2001, a robotic probe explored one of the Queen's Chamber shafts, finding a small door with handles behind which lies another mystery. If such barriers exist in the void, they could protect secrets meant only for those with the knowledge to reach them. The desert itself may hide more clues. Ground-penetrating radar has revealed anomalies beneath the Giza Plateau, rectangular shapes that could be chambers, tunnels, or even a lost city. These findings, often dismissed as natural formations, fuel speculation that the void is part of a larger network, a subterranean complex that predates the pharaohs. In the 1990s, archaeologists uncovered a cedar ship near the Great Pyramid, buried for 4,000 years. Its purpose unclear. If a ship could remain hidden so close to the pyramid, what else lies beneath the sands? Some theorists claim the void connects to tunnels leading to the Sphinx, where a chamber of records awaits, guarded by time and stone. The Egyptian authorities' reluctance to excavate these areas, citing preservation, only deepens the suspicion that something monumental is being concealed. The void's discovery challenges our understanding of the pyramid's construction. If it was built before the Ice Age, during a time when the Sahara was green, its builders might have had resources we cannot imagine. Rivers to transport stones, forests for scaffolding, and perhaps knowledge from a source beyond Earth. The younger Dryas striking 12,900 years ago could have erased this civilization, leaving the pyramid to be claimed by later pharaohs. The void sealed against floods and time might hold the last traces of their world texts, tools, or even the remains of their leaders. Not human, but something else entirely. The absence of a pharaoh's body in the king's chamber supports this idea. Perhaps the pyramid was never a tomb, but a vault for knowledge too dangerous to reveal. As we ponder the void, we must consider the human cost of its secrecy. Stories persist of archaeologists who ventured too close to hidden truths, only to face misfortune. In the 1920s, explorers reported strange illnesses after entering the pyramid's depths, their symptoms unexplained by science. Locals whisper of a curse, not unlike that tied to Tutankhamun's tomb, protecting the pyramid's secrets. Could the void be guarded, not by magic, but by forces we do not understand? Energies trapped in its stones or warnings left by its builders. The silence of the void, its refusal to yield answers, is its own kind of power, pulling us deeper into the mystery. If these unseen chambers spark your curiosity, consider liking and subscribing to join us for more journeys into the unknown. Tell me, where are you listening from? And what time is it there? Let the quiet of the desert guide your thoughts toward dreams. They say the pyramids are cursed, that those who disturb their secrets invite doom. In 1922, the world learned of the curse of Tutankhamun when Lord Canavan, who funded the tomb's excavation, died suddenly, his body racked by fever, his last words a whisper about the pharaoh's wrath. But Giza, older and grander, holds darker tales. Stories of archaeologists struck down by unseen forces, workers vanishing into the night, and visitors haunted by visions of figures that should not exist. What is this curse? Is it the vengeance of ancient priests, a safeguard woven into the pyramid's very stones? Or something stranger, a power from a time before humanity, protecting secrets too vast to unveil? The curse of Tutankhamun is infamous, but Giza's legends are older, murkier, whispered in the villages along the Nile. In the late 1800s, an English explorer named Charles Paddy Smee ventured into the Great Pyramid, mapping its chambers with a fervor that bordered on obsession. He emerged pale and shaken, refusing to speak of what he saw, only to die months later under mysterious circumstances. His journals filled with cryptic notes about shadows that moved without light. Decades later, in 1936, an Egyptian worker excavating near the Sphinx fell into a shaft and was never found, his screams echoing for hours before fading to silence. Locals swore they saw a figure, a tall robed silhouette watching from the pyramid's base that night. These stories, dismissed as superstition, pile up across centuries, each one adding weight to the idea that Giza guards its secrets with a force beyond the natural. What could fuel such a curse? One theory points to the pyramid's builders, perhaps a civilization predating the pharaohs, who imbued the stones with rituals to protect their creation. Imagine 12,000 years ago, a people standing on the Giza plateau, their faces lit by firelight as they chant words in a language long forgotten. They carve symbols into the limestone, not hieroglyphs, but older marks designed to bind a power to the stones. These rituals, some say, were meant to ward off intruders, their magic rooted in the belief that the pyramids held knowledge too sacred for mortal hands. The Egyptian Book of the Dead speaks of spells that guard the afterlife, curses that strike those who defile sacred spaces. Could these be echoes of older practices from a time when the pyramids served a purpose beyond tombs? A purpose tied to the stars or the Earth's hidden energies? Another possibility is more tangible, yet no less chilling. The pyramid's granite, rich with quartz crystals, can generate an electrical charge when vibrated, a phenomenon called zooelectricity. In the king's chamber, certain tones around 110 Hz create standing waves, a resonance that visitors describe as a pressure on the skin, a hum that feels alive. Could this energy, amplified by the pyramid's geometry, affect the mind or body? Some researchers suggest that prolonged exposure to these vibrations might cause disorientation, hallucinations, or even physical harm. In 1984, a team of French scientists studying the pyramid's acoustics reported nausea and vivid dreams after hours inside. One member claiming to see a figure in a white robe that vanished when approached. If the pyramids were built before the Ice Age, their builders might have harnessed this energy deliberately, creating a defense mechanism that lingers, unseen but potent. The curse extends beyond the physical. Visitors to Giza often report unease, a sense of being watched, or fleeting glimpses of figures in the shadows. In 2015, a German tourist exploring the plateau at dusk claimed to see a man in ancient attire standing atop the Great Pyramid. He snapped a photo, But the figure was gone when he looked again, and the image showed only empty stone. Such stories are common, whispered among guides and locals, who speak of guardians that appear to those who linger too long. Are these ghosts of pharaohs, as some believe, or something older spirits of a lost civilization bound to the pyramids to protect their purpose? The Sphinx with its weathered gaze seems to watch these encounters. The silence a reminder that some truths are not meant to be known. Conspiracy theories offer another layer. Some claim the curse is no myth, but a deliberate construct by ancient priests or their successors to hide the pyramid's true nature. If the pyramids predate the Old Kingdom, as some suggest, they might hold secrets, technology, records, or evidence of a forgotten people that later rulers sought to conceal. The hidden void discovered in 2017 above the Grand Gallery fuels this idea. 30 long, sealed from all known passages. It could contain artifacts that challenge history. Some speculate it holds a device, perhaps a power source that the ancients feared to unleash. Rumors persist that early explorers found such chambers only to be silenced by authorities or struck down by the curse itself. In 1968, an American archaeologist named George Reisner, known for his work at Giza, died suddenly after reporting a sealed passage near the Sphinx. His notes, later published, hinted at a chamber too dangerous to open. Was this the curse at work? Or something more sinister? A cover-up to keep the world in the dark? The desert itself seems complicit in the mystery. Sandstorms, sudden and fierce, have buried workers' tools and even entire expeditions, as if the plateau guards its own. In 1975, a rare deluge flooded parts of Giza, uncovering bones and pottery that vanished before they could be studied, washed away by the Nile's muddy waters. Locals believe these storms are no accident, but the will of the pyramids stirred by those who pry too deeply. The curse, they say, is not just death, but erasure, removing evidence and witnesses alike. This idea resonates with the younger Dus, a climatic catastrophe 900 years ago that might have scattered a pre-Ice Age civilization, leaving only the pyramids to stand through the floods. If their builders were a curse into the stones, could be a final act of defiance, ensuring their secrets survived the deluge. The global reach of such curses adds intrigue. Similar tales surround other ancient sites. At Chichén Itzá in Mexico, locals speak of a curse that strikes those who disturb Mayan ruins, with archaeologists falling ill or disappearing. In Peru, at Machu Picchu, guides warn of spirits that haunt intruders. Could these be coincidences or evidence of a shared tradition? A knowledge of protective rituals passed down from a time when the world was different. If the pyramids were built before the Ice Age, their curse might link to a global network of monuments, each guarded by forces we cannot comprehend. The idea of a pre-Ice Age civilization, perhaps guided by beings from beyond, suggests a purpose so profound that it required eternal protection. A barrier between the sacred and the profane. Modern science has tried to explain the curse. Some point to natural causes, toxic mold in sealed chambers, or radiation from the granite which contains trace uranium. In 2001, a study of ancient tombs found aspergillus, a fungus that can cause respiratory failure in poorly ventilated spaces. Yet, these explanations falter against the stories of sudden death and vanishing figures. The curse's power lies in its ambiguity, its ability to defy logic while gripping the imagination. If the pyramids hold a secret from before the pharaohs, the curse might be its final guardian, a force that punishes curiosity with fear, or worse. The absence of a pharaoh's body in the Great Pyramid sarcophagus only deepens the question. If not a tomb, what was it protecting? And at what cost? Beneath the waves of a forgotten ocean, a city gleams, its towers of crystal and stone swallowed by the deep. Atlantis, the fabled empire of legend, vanished in a single night, or so the stories claim. But what if its legacy endures not in the sea, but on the sands of Giza? What if the pyramids, those silent giants of the desert, are not the work of pharaohs, but relics of a civilization lost to a great flood 12,000 years ago? Could the Great Pyramid and the Sphinx guard secrets from Atlantis? A repository of knowledge hidden in stone, waiting for a world, ready to understand. As the Nile whispers through the night, its waters carrying echoes of a drowned past. Let us dive into a tale that binds the pyramids to a myth so ancient it feels like a dream. Why do the stones of Giza seem to speak of a time before history? And what truths might they conceal about a world that sank beneath the waves? The story of Atlantis begins with Plato, the Greek philosopher who in the 4th century before the Common Era described a magnificent island empire beyond the Pillars of Hercules. Atlantis, he wrote, was a marvel of architecture and wisdom, its people masters of science and art until hubris angered the gods, and a deluge erased it from the earth. Scholars have long debated whether Atlantis was real or a parable, but its allure persists, fueled by clues that suggest a kernel of truth. Around 12,000 years ago, as the last ice age ended, global sea levels rose dramatically, flooding coastlines and submerging entire regions. This period, known as Meltwater Pulse 1a, saw waters climb several meters in a century, drowning lands where early humans might have thrived. Could Atlantis have been one such place? Its survivors fleeing to the Nile Valley, carrying their knowledge to build the pyramids as a monument to their lost home. Edgar Cayce, a 20th century mystic, brought Atlantis into the modern imagination. In his visions, he saw the Sphinx and pyramids as creations of Atlantean refugees built around 10,500 years before the Common Era. Beneath the Sphinx, he claimed, lies a hall of records, a vault of scrolls or tablets preserving the wisdom of Atlantis, its mathematics, astronomy, and perhaps secrets of energy manipulation. Cayce's predictions gained traction when geologist Robert Schoch argued that the Sphinx's enclosure shows erosion from heavy rainfall, a climate not seen in Egypt for 7,000 years or more. If true, this places the Sphinx in a time when the Sahara was a savanna, a green cradle for a civilization advanced enough to carve stone with precision. Could these builders have been Atlanteans? Their skills, a remnant of a drowned empire. Imagine the scene 12,000 years ago. The Nile Valley is alive with rivers and marshes, its air thick with the scent of wet earth. People arrive, their faces weathered by loss, their memories heavy with the sight of their island sinking beneath towering waves. They carry knowledge of architecture, of stars, of forces that bend stone and light. On the Giza Plateau, they find a highland safe from floods, its limestone ready to be shaped. They build the Great Pyramid, not as a tomb, but as a beacon, a structure to preserve their legacy through the ages. The Sphinx with its lion's body gazes east, marking the equinox where the constellation Leo rose in that distant era. Its face, some say, was not always human, but a lion's later recarved to honor a pharaoh. Beneath it, they seal the Hall of Records, a chamber to safeguard their story, locked until a future age could claim it. The pyramid's design hints at Atlantean origins. The Great Pyramid's base encodes mathematical constants pi, the golden ratio suggesting a mastery of geometry beyond the Old Kingdom's reach. Its alignment to true north, accurate to a fraction of a degree, implies an understanding of the Earth's axis and the stars' slow dance. Known as precession, if Atlanteans built this, they might have used tools or techniques lost to time. Some speculate they harnessed crystals, as Casey described, to channel energy. The granite in the king's chamber, rich with quartz, can generate an electrical charge when vibrated, a property called electricity. Could the pyramid have been a power source? Its chambers designed to resonate with the Earth's frequencies, a technology born in Atlantis and buried with its fall. Myths across cultures echo Atlantis's fate. The Egyptian tale of Artem rising from the primordial waters of Nun, creating the first land, mirrors stories of a lost world reborn after a flood. Sumerian legends speak of Utnap-Pishtim surviving a deluge to rebuild humanity. The Greeks tell of Deucalion saved in a chest as waters consumed the earth. These tales found from Mesopotamia to Mesoamerica suggest a shared memory of a cataclysm 12,000 years ago when melting ice sheets reshaped the globe. If Atlantis existed, its survivors might have scattered their knowledge seeding monuments like the pyramids, Pumapunku in Bolivia, or the submerged terraces of Yanani, Japan. Each site shares traits: massive stones, precise cuts, celestial alignments as if linked by a common thread. A legacy of a drowned civilization. Conspiracy theories swirl around Atlantis and Giza. Some claim the Egyptian government knows of the Hall of Records, but suppresses excavations to protect the narrative of pharaonic origins. In 1999, a seismic survey near the Sphinx detected anomalies, cavities, or tunnels that were never fully explored, citing risks to the monument. Why the hesitation? Could the hall contain evidence of Atlantis? Perhaps texts or devices that would upend history. Others suggest global powers aware of Atlantean technology guard its secrets to prevent its misuse. Casey predicted the hall would be found in the late 20th century. Yet it remains hidden, fueling speculation that someone or something ensures its secrecy. The pyramid stones hold clues. Some limestone blocks contain fossils not found in Giza's quarries, suggesting they were brought from distant sites, perhaps ruins of an older civilization. The granite hauled from Aswan 900 kilometers away bears marked spiral grooves, polished surfaces that defy copper tools. Could Atlanteans have used sonic tools, as some fringe theories propose, vibrating stone to make it malleable? In 1986, a Japanese engineer studying Giza's granite suggested a technique involving harmonic resonance, a method lost, but possibly known to a culture like Atlantis. If these stones were repurposed by later pharaohs, their origins might trace back to a time when the Nile Valley was a refuge for a people fleeing a sinking world. The Younger Dryas, a sudden freeze 12,900 years ago, adds weight to the Atlantis theory, triggered by melting ice disrupting ocean currents, or perhaps a comet impact. It plunged the world into chaos. If Atlantis was a coastal empire, it could have been swallowed by rising seas, its survivors migrating to high grounds like Giza. The pyramids built to withstand such cataclysms might have been their final act, a way to preserve their knowledge against the flood. The hidden void above the Grand Gallery discovered in 2017 could be part of this plan. A sealed chamber holding Atlantean artifacts, perhaps a map to their lost homeland, or a device to harness energies we cannot yet replicate. The Sphinx itself is a key. Its erosion, studied by Robert Schoch, suggests centuries of heavy rain, a climate last seen in Egypt before 7,000 years ago. If it predates the pharaohs, it might mark the arrival of Atlantean refugees. Its lion form a tribute to the stars of Leo, prominent in that era's sky. Some claim its head was recarved, its original face perhaps a lion or an Atlantean figure altered to fit the image of a pharaoh like Khafre. Beneath its paws, the Hall of Records waits, its entrance possibly hidden by sand or stone. In 1991, A team using ground-penetrating radar found a cavity under the Sphinx. But excavation stalled. Officially due to preservation concerns. Unofficially, whispers of a cover-up persist. As if the truth would unravel too much. The global reach of Atlantis's legacy adds intrigue. In Bolivia, Pumapunku stones cut with laser-like precision echo Giza's craftsmanship. In Lebanon, Baalbek's 800-ton blocks suggest a shared knowledge of megalithic construction. These sites scattered across continents might be outposts of Atlantean survivors, each preserving a fragment of their lost world. The oral traditions of indigenous peoples like the Hopi in North America speak of a time when star people taught their ancestors, guiding them to build enduring structures. Could these be memories of Atlanteans or their teachers shaping humanity's early steps? The Sphinx gazes eastward, its weathered face carved from the bedrock of the Giza Plateau, its eyes fixed on a horizon that has changed beyond recognition. Its limestone enclosure, a deep trench cut into the earth, bears scars that tell a story older than the pharaohs. Vertical channels and smooth rippling grooves cascade down its walls. Rains. A climate alien to the arid Egypt we know today. These patterns studied by geologist Robert Schoch in the 1990s suggest the Sphinx stood through centuries of downpours. A time when the Sahara bloomed as a savanna long before the pyramids were claimed by kings. Could these water-worn scars date the Sphinx to an era before the last ice age ended? 12,000 years ago. And why do some believe the Egyptian authorities hide the truth? Perhaps guarding evidence of an older, forgotten civilization. As the desert night wraps the plateau in silence, let us trace these ancient reigns, unraveling a mystery etched in stone that challenges everything we think we know about history. Robert Schoch, a geologist from Boston University, shook the world of Egyptology when he proposed that the Sphinx's enclosure shows erosion caused by heavy rainfall. Not the wind and sand of the past 400-500 years. Mainstream scholars placed the Sphinx's construction around 200-500 years before the Common Era under Pharaoh Khafre, whose pyramid stands nearby. His human face, some say, mirrors his likeness, and its quarry provided stones for his complex. Yet Schocher's analysis points to a different story. The enclosure's deep rounded grooves are unlike the sharp horizontal cuts of wind erosion. Water, he argued, flows downward, carving soft, undulating patterns, and such rains have not fallen in Egypt since the African humid period. Time between 14,500 and 500 years ago when monsoons drenched North Africa. If Schoch is right, the Sphinx could predate the pharaohs by millennia, standing as a relic of a wetter, greener world. Picture that world 12,000 years ago. The Giza Plateau is not a sea of sand, but a highland surrounded by grassy plains, dotted with pools left by recent storms. The Nile, swollen with seasonal floods, carves a wide path through lush marshes. People, perhaps a sophisticated culture lost to history, carved the Sphinx from the living rock. Its lion's body a tribute to the constellation Leo, rising in the east during the equinox of that era. They work under skies, heavy with clouds, their tools guided by knowledge we cannot fathom. The rains fall year after year, shaping the enclosure's walls, leaving grooves that will endure long after their world fades. When the climate shifts, turning savanna to desert, their civilization scatters. But the Sphinx remains. Its scars a testament to a time when water ruled the land. Schocher's theory met fierce resistance. Egyptologists led by figures like Zahi Hawass argued that the erosion could result from occasional floods, groundwater, or salt crystallization in the limestone. They point to archaeological evidence. Temples built with blocks from the Sphinx's quarry. Inscriptions linking it to Khafre. Yet the debate persists, fueled by the enclosure's unique patterns. Wind eritus in straight lines like a blade across stone. But water softens, curls, creates pockets that shock insists match rainfall. Not desert weathering. If the Sphinx stood through the African humid period, could be 7,000 years old or more, predating the Old Kingdom and suggesting a civilization capable of monumental architecture long before written history. Conspiracy theories add a layer of intrigue. Some claim the Egyptian government knows the Sphinx is older, but suppresses evidence to preserve the narrative of pharaonic origins. In 1996, a seismic survey near the Sphinx detected cavities beneath its pores, possible chambers or tunnels, but excavations were halted officially for preservation. Unofficially, whispers suggest a cover-up, perhaps to hide a pre-dynastic face, some say a lion's, not a pharaoh's carved before Khafre's masons reshaped it. If the Sphinx was recarved, its original form might reveal a culture tied to the stars or a lost world like Atlantis, whose survivors, some speculate, fled to the Nile after floods consumed their homeland. The reluctance to dig deeper fuels suspicion. What truth lies buried that authorities fear to uncover? The African humid period offers a backdrop for this mystery. Between 14,500 and 500 years ago, monsoon rains transformed the Sahara into a land of lakes and rivers. Satellite images reveal ancient reveres beneath the sand, their ghostly paths winding toward the Nile. Rock art in the desert, far from modern water, depicts elephants, giraffes, and boats, hinting at a vibrant culture that thrived in this green age. If the Sphinx was carved, then its builders had abundant resources: water to lubricate, stone cutting, forests for scaffolding, and a climate that supported large communities. The Younger Dryas, a sudden freeze 12,900 years ago, might have ended this era, scattering its people and leaving the Sphinx to weather the desert's return. The erosion itself is a puzzle. Limestone formed in ancient seas is porous, prone to dissolving underwater. The Sphinx's enclosure cut directly into the bedrock shows deeper grooves than nearby structures, suggesting it stood exposed longer. Some geologists propose that rare modern storms like one in 1975 that flooded Algeria could mimic ancient rainfall patterns. But shock counters that centuries of consistent rain are needed for such deep, smooth erosion, not occasional downpours. If the Sphinx predates the pyramids, it might have been a standalone monument later incorporated into Khafre's complex, its face altered to claim it for the pharaohs. This raises a question. What else lies hidden, eroded or buried that could confirm this older origin? The possibility of a pre-Ice Age Sphinx connects to global mysteries in Turkey. Göbek dated to 11,600 years ago proves humans built complex structures before agriculture. Its T-shaped pillars carved with animals mirror the Sphinx's monumental ambition. If a similar culture existed in Egypt, their works might have been lost to floods or sand, with the Sphinx surviving due to its elevated bedrock. In Japan, the Yonani monument, submerged beneath the sea, shows step terraces that some argue are man-made from a time when sea levels were lower. Could these sites share a legacy? A network of pre-Ice Age builders whose knowledge was erased by climate shifts. The Sphinx's scars might be their last signature, a clue to a world we have yet to rediscover. Some speculate the Sphinx's erosion hides a deeper secret. Beneath its paws, Edgar Cayce's visions predicted a hall of records, a vault of Atlantean knowledge. If such a chamber exists, its entrance might be sealed by stone or sand, protected by the same rains that carved the enclosure. In 2001, a documentary crew reported vibrations under the Sphinx detected by sensitive equipment, suggesting hollow spaces. Egyptian authorities dismissed these as natural voids, but the lack of follow-up excavations keeps the mystery alive. Could the erosion be a deliberate marker, a sign left by builders to guide future seekers to their hidden legacy. The desert night grows still. The sphinx's gaze unwavering. Its water-worn scars speak of a time when rain fell like a curtain, when a civilization we cannot name carved their dreams into stone. Are these grooves the fingerprints of a lost age, or merely the whims of nature mistaken for history? The truth hovers just out of reach, buried in the silence of the plateau. If these ancient reigns stir your curiosity, consider liking and subscribing to journey deeper into the past with us. Share where you are under the starry sky and what time it is there. Let the Sphinx's silent watch guide you into dreams. Long before the Sahara became an ocean of sand, it was a land of life, a vast savanna where rivers flowed and grasslands stretched to the horizon. 14,000 years ago, the Giza Plateau stood not as a barren outcrop, but as a verdant highland surrounded by lakes that mirrored the stars and forests that whispered in the wind. This was the African humid period, a time when monsoons drenched North Africa, turning the desert into a cradle for a civilization we can scarcely imagine. What secrets did this green Sahara hide? Did its fertile plains nurture a people capable of building the pyramids only to be erased by a brutal climate shift? And why do some believe that beneath the dunes, buried cities and forgotten technologies wait to be uncovered, their existence suppressed by those who guard history's narrative? The African humid period spanning from 14,500 to 500 years ago transformed the Sahara into a landscape unrecognizable. Today, satellite images reveal the ghosts of ancient rivers, their beds etched beneath the sand like veins in a leaf. Rock art scattered across what is now barren desert depicts giraffes, elephants, and boats gliding on waters long gone. These images found in places like Libya's Tigrada Caicus suggest a thriving culture, one that hunted, fished, and perhaps built monumental structures. The Nile, swollen by seasonal rains, supported communities along its banks, their lives tied to a land of abundance. The Giza Plateau, elevated above floodplains, would have been an ideal site for a civilization to erect enduring monuments, its limestone cliffs a canvas for their ambitions. Could the pyramids or their foundations have been born in this green age before the desert reclaimed the land? The climate shift that ended this era was merciless. Around 500 years ago, the monsoons retreated, lakes dried into dust, and the Sahara transformed into the arid expanse we know today. This desertification, possibly triggered by changes in Earth's orbit or ocean currents, was rapid. Some evidence suggests it occurred within centuries, perhaps even decades. Communities that thrived on fishing and grazing were forced to flee, many converging on the Nile Valley, where water remained. If a civilization built the pyramids during the humid period, this shift could have erased their traces, burying villages and smaller monuments under dunes. The pyramids, standing on high ground, would have survived, their stones weathering the sands while their builder story faded into myth. Conspiracy theorists propose a darker twist. The Sahara hides more than natural ruins. Ground-penetrating radar and satellite surveys have detected anomalies, rectangular shapes, and grids beneath the desert, hinting at buried structures. Some claim these are cities or temples from a lost civilization, deliberately concealed by modern authorities to maintain the narrative that Egypt's history begins with the pharaohs. In 2010, a team exploring the Western Desert found pottery and tools dated to 8,000 years ago, far from any known settlement. The findings were downplayed, access restricted, fueling speculation that governments fear what lies beneath. Could these be remnants of a pre-Ice Age culture, one that rivaled Atlantis in sophistication, its secrets guarded to prevent a rewriting of history? The Younger Dus, a sudden climatic plunge. 900 years ago, adds another layer, this 1,000-year freeze, possibly caused by a comet impact or melting ice disrupting ocean currents, shattered ecosystems worldwide. In North Africa, it may have destabilized the early humid period, forcing communities to adapt or perish. If a civilization existed then, capable of building the pyramids, the Younger Dryas could have been their undoing, scattering their people and erasing their works. Some theorists like Graham Hancock suggest this event was no accident, but the result of a cosmic strike, a comet or asteroid designed to reset human progress. Microscopic glassy spherules found in sediments from this period support the impact hypothesis, hinting at a cataclysm that could have buried a culture's legacy under sand and silt. The Sahara's rock art offers tantalizing clues. In Chad's Ennery Plateau, carvings depict boats with high prows, suggesting a culture that navigated rivers or lakes now vanished. These vessels, unlike the papyrus skiffs of later Egypt, imply advanced woodworking or even metallurgy, skills that could have supported monumental construction. If such a people built the pyramids, they might have used these waterways to transport stones, floating limestone from local quarries or granite from Aswan 900 kilometers away. The logistics of moving 80-ton blocks in a desert are daunting. But in a green Sahara with rivers and lakes, the task becomes plausible. The pyramid survival on the elevated Giza Plateau suggests their builders chose a site to withstand floods and desertification, a foresight that speaks to their sophistication. Another mystery lies in the fossils beneath the sand. In Egypt's western desert at Wadi al-Haytham, the Valley of the Whales, paleontologists have uncovered skeletons of ancient whales, 40 million years old, their vestigial legs, hinting at a time when the region was a sea. More recent finds dated to the humid period include bones of crocodiles and fish too large for today's Nile. These suggest a rich ecosystem capable of supporting a large population. If a civilization thrived here, they could have fed thousands of workers, a necessity for building structures like the pyramids. Some speculate they used aquatic resources, fish, reeds, even water for hydraulic systems to aid construction, a knowledge lost when the Sahara dried. The pyramids themselves may hold evidence of this green age. Some limestone blocks contain microossels, tiny shells, and algae not found in Giza's quarries, suggesting they were brought from distant sites, perhaps remnants of older structures. The mortar, a gypsum-based blend, includes traces of plant fibers and charcoal, which radiocarbon dating occasionally places earlier than the Old Kingdom's timeline, though results are debated due to possible contamination. If these materials predate 400-500 years, they could point to a construction phase during the humid period when resources were plentiful. The granite in the king's chamber with its electric properties might have been chosen not just for durability, but for a purpose tied to the era's abundant water, perhaps channeling energy through vibrations amplified by nearby streams. Conspiracy theories extend to the stars. Some claim the pyramid's alignment with Orion's belt, as proposed by Robert Bell, reflects a celestial map from the humid period when the Sahara's clear skies made star-watching a cornerstone of culture. In Nubia, southern Egypt, stone circles dated to 7,000 years ago align with the summer solstice, suggesting an astronomical tradition predating the pharaohs. If these were built by the same people who raised the pyramids, their knowledge might have been preserved in oral tales, later woven into Egyptian myths of gods emerging from water. The story of Adam, rising from the primordial nun, could be a memory of a green Sahara, its rivers, a sacred force that shaped a civilization's dreams. The desert's transformation was a tragedy. As the rains failed, communities fled to the Nile or vanished, their wooden homes and reed villages crumbling to dust. The pyramids built of stone endured, but their purpose may have been forgotten, claimed by later pharaohs who saw them as divine gifts. Some theorists suggest the Sahara hides more than ruins. Perhaps technologies like sonic tools or energy devices buried to keep them from unworthy hands. In 2021, a leaked report claimed satellite scans detected a metallic object 10 m long beneath the Western Desert. But no excavation followed. Is this a relic of a lost civilization or a fantasy born of hope? What cities lie buried? What secrets wait beneath the sand? The Sahara keeps its counsel, offering only hints of a past too vast to grasp. Across the globe, ancient stones stand like sentinels, their weathered surfaces whispering of a time when humanity or perhaps something more reached for immortality. In southeastern Turkey, Besip's T-shaped pillars rise from the earth, carved with foxes and scorpions, predating the pyramids by 7,000 years. In Bolivia, Pumapunku's interlocking stones lie scattered, their precision defying explanation. Off Japan's coast, Yunani's submerged terraces hint at a drowned world. These megalithic marvels, separated by oceans and epochs, share an uncanny kinship with the pyramids of Giza. Do they form a network? A global grid of monuments built by a forgotten civilization? Are they linked by invisible lines of energy or even portals to other realms? Göbekli, unearthed in the 1990s, rewrote the story of human civilization. Dated to 11,600 years ago, predates agriculture and cities. Its massive pillars erected by hunter-gatherers. Each T-shaped stone, some weighing 20 tons, is adorned with intricate reliefs, animals, humans, and symbols we cannot decode. Built before the wheel, before writing, Göbekli challenges the idea that complex architecture requires complex societies. Its circles aligned to celestial events suggest a deep understanding of the cosmos. Could its builders have shared knowledge with those who raised the pyramids? A tradition of stonecraft that spanned continents. The Giza Plateau, with its own celestial alignments, feels like a distant echo, as if both sites were part of a grand design. A blueprint lost to time. Pumapunku in Bolivia's high Andes deepens the enigma. Its andite blocks, some over 100 tons, are cut with such precision that they fit like puzzle pieces. No mortar needed, their surfaces polished to a sheen. Bare grooves suggesting tools beyond the Bronze Age. Dated to around 500 years of the Common Era. Pumapunku's origins are murky. Some argue it is far older, perhaps from the same pre-Ice Age era as Giza. The stone's interlocking shapes with perfect 90-degree angles resemble nothing in the surrounding Tijuanacu culture. Were they crafted by a people who knew secrets of stonework passed down from a time when the Sahara was green? The similarity to Giza's granite cut with unearthly accuracy hints at a shared technique. A legacy that crosses oceans. In Lebanon, Baalbek's Trilathon, 3 limestone blocks, each near 800 tons, forms the base of a Roman temple. Yet their origins predate Rome. Moved from a quarry a kilometer away. These stones dwarf anything the Romans built. Their placement, so precise that a sheet of paper cannot slip between them, suggests a mastery older than the empire that claimed them. Some speculate a pre-Phoenician culture, perhaps 10,000 years old, quarried these giants, their purpose lost when later builders repurposed the site. Like Giza, Baalbek aligns with cardinal directions, its stones bearing marks that defy simple tools. Could it be another node in a global network? A monument tied to the same impulse that raised the pyramids. Off Japan's Yunani island, submerged beneath the Pacific, lie step terraces and sharp-edged platforms discovered in 1986. Dated to 10,000 years ago when sea levels were lower. These structures spark debate. Geologists call them natural formations shaped by waves. Others see human handiwork, a city drowned by post-Ice Age floods. The terraces with their straight lines and right angles resemble Giza's limestone blocks, suggesting a purpose, perhaps a ceremonial platform or harbor. If man-made, Yunani could mark a coastal civilization. Its knowledge, mirrored in Giza's star-aligned pyramids. The floods of meltwater pulse 1A12,000 years ago might have erased such sites, leaving only high-ground monuments like Giza to endure. The idea of a global megalithic network gains traction from these similarities. Each site, Göbekli, Pumapunku, Baalbek, Yanaguni, shares traits: massive stones, precise cuts, and alignments with the heavens. Stonehenge in England, dated to 3,000 years before the Common Era, marks solstices with its Sasan stones. Much like Giza's pyramids align with Orion's belt. In Malta, the temples of Havgansha, older than Giza, channel equinox sunlight through their doorways. These alignments suggest a universal fascination with the cosmos, but their precision hints at shared knowledge, perhaps a single culture or influence that touched every continent. Some theorists propose ley lines, invisible paths of energy connecting these sites with Giza as a central hub. The pyramid's quartz-rich granite capable of zooelectricity could amplify this energy, linking them to a global grid. Conspiracy theories push the mystery further. Some claim these sites were built by a pre-Ice Age civilization guided by extraterrestrial teachers or survivors of a lost world like Atlantis. The Younger Dryas, climatic shock 12,900 years ago, might have erased this culture, leaving only its stoneworks. Others suggest governments suppress evidence-buried structures, anomalous artifacts to maintain a linear history. In 2008, a radar survey near Göbekli revealed unexcavated circles, but funding halted, raising questions of deliberate obstruction. Pumapunku, locals report metallic objects found in the 1960s now vanished, possibly confiscated. Could these be remnants of a technology that powered this network, hidden to protect modern power structures? The pyramid's own anomalies fuel speculation. Their granite blocks, some from Aswan 900 kilometers away, bear marks, spiral grooves, polished surfaces that suggest advanced tools. If Göbekli's builders, with no metal, raised 20-ton pillars, could a similar culture have shaped Giza's stones? The Sahara's rock art depicting boats and animals from the African humid period hints at a connected world where knowledge traveled along rivers now buried. In Nubia, 7,000-year-old stone circles align with the solstice, mirroring Göbek's celestial focus. These links suggest a tradition of monumental building, perhaps guided by a single source lost when the climate turned hostile. Myths amplify the mystery. Egyptian tales of the followers of Horus, semi-divine beings who ruled before the pharaohs, echo Göbekli's builders, described in local law as star people. In Bolivia, Pumapunku is tied to gods who came from the sky, shaping stone with divine power. These stories found across cultures might preserve memories of a global civilization, its knowledge encoded in stone. The pyramid's alignment with Orion, dated to 10,500 years before the Common Era by Robert Balval, could be a marker of this era, a time when the world was united by a shared purpose. Göbek, Pumapunku, Baalbek, Yanaguni, their stones call to one another, their secrets locked in alignments and cuts we cannot fully read. Were they built by a single people, a forgotten empire, or a force beyond our world? The stones of the Great Pyramid stand as a testament to a craft so precise it defies time itself. Each block, some weighing 80 tons, fits with such exactness that a razor cannot slide between the seams. Granite surfaces polished to a mirror's sheen, bare marks of tools no archaeologist can fully explain. spiral grooves, deep cuts, and circular impressions that whisper of methods beyond the copper chisels of ancient Egypt. How did a civilization armed with only basic tools shape and move mountains of stone to build a monument that has endured for millennia? Were the builders of Giza masters of a lost technology wielding secrets that modern science struggles to replicate? The Great Pyramid, attributed to Pharaoh Khufu around 2,560 years before the Common Era, is a marvel of engineering. Its 2 million limestone blocks quarried locally are stacked with geometric precision. The base square to within cm. The granite in the King's Chamber, hauled from Aswan 900 kilometers away, is cut so finely that joints are nearly invisible. Mainstream archaeology credits thousands of workers using ramps, rollers, and copper tools for this feat. Yet certain details challenge this narrative. The granite beams, some weighing 70 tons, span the chamber ceiling, their surfaces bearing long, shallow cuts as if sliced by a saw. Drill holes several inches deep show spiral grooves, suggesting a rotary tool with consistent pressure. Copper, soft against granite's hardness, would dull quickly, and dolerite hammers, while effective, struggle to produce such precision. These marks hint at a technology that surpasses the tools we know. Imagine a scene 12,000 years ago, before the Sahara turned to sand. When the Giza Plateau was a hub of activity. People, perhaps from a civilization lost to the floods of the Ice Age's end, work under a sky heavy with stars. They do not hammer stone with brute force, but wield tools that hum with unseen energy. Some theorists propose acoustic levitation, where sound waves lift heavy blocks. A technique rumored in ancient Tibetan texts to move stones with chanting and drums. Others suggest a chemical process softening limestone with plant-based acids. A method hinted at in fringe studies but never proven. These ideas, while speculative, arise from the stones themselves, marks that modern engineers, using diamond-tipped saws, would struggle to replicate with such finesse. The precision of the pyramid's construction is staggering. Its sides align to true north with an error of mere arc minutes, a feat requiring advanced surveying. The base's perimeter, over 900 m, deviates by less than a cm from a perfect square. Such accuracy suggests knowledge of mathematics. Pi and the golden ratio are encoded in the pyramid's proportions far beyond what we attribute to the Old Kingdom. Some speculate the builders used a lost instrument, perhaps a precursor to the theodolite, to map the stars on Earth. In 1986, a Japanese engineer studying Giza's granite proposed a harmonic resonance technique where vibrations aligned stone molecules for easier cutting. While untested, this idea resonates with the pyramid's acoustic properties. Tones in the King's Chamber create standing waves, suggesting a design that amplifies sound. Conspiracy theories swirl around these techniques. Some claim the Egyptian government hides evidence of advanced tools, perhaps metallic artifacts or crystalline devices to preserve the pharaonic narrative. In 1937, an explorer reported finding a bronze tool with a diamond-like edge in a Giza quarry, but it vanished from museum records. Was it confiscated or merely a myth? Others suggest the builders inherited their methods from a pre-Ice Age civilization, one that mastered energy manipulation. The granite's quartz crystals, capable of piezoelectricity, could generate electrical charges under pressure, hinting at a purpose beyond structural strength. Could the pyramid have been a machine, its chambers designed to harness vibrations for power or communication? Global parallels deepen the mystery. In Bolivia, Pumapunku's andite blocks cut with laser-like precision bear similar grooves, suggesting a shared technique. In Peru, saxuamen and stones, some over 100 tons, fit so tightly that a leaf cannot pass between them, their edges curved as if molded. These sites, dated to different eras, imply a lost tradition of stonecraft, perhaps taught by a single source. If Giza's builders used advanced methods, They might have been part of a global network. Their knowledge lost when the younger dust 900 years ago scattered their culture. The Sahara's rock art showing boats and tools from a greener age hints at a connected world where such skills thrived. The pyramid's mortar offers another clue. Chemical analysis reveals a gypsum-based blend with microossils from distant sources, suggesting trade or reuse of older materials. Radiocarbon dating of charcoal in the mortar occasionally yields dates older than the Old Kingdom, though contamination is debated. If these dates are accurate, they point to a construction phase during the African humid period when rivers aided transport. Some speculate the builders used hydraulic systems, channeling water to move stones, a method lost when the Sahara dried. In 1992, an archaeologist found channels near Giza, possibly for water, but their purpose remains unclear. The mystery of the tools themselves captivates. In Aswan's quarries, an unfinished obelisk over 1,000 tons lies abandoned, its sides bearing scoop-like marks unlike those of copper chisels. These suggest a technique that carved stone in continuous curves, perhaps using vibrations or abrasives we cannot replicate. Some fringe theories propose electromagnetic tools powered by the Earth's magnetic field, a concept unproven, but intriguing given the pyramid's alignment with cardinal directions. If such tools existed, they might have been crafted from materials, wood, organic compounds that decayed, leaving only the stones to tell their story. Were their builders human, wielding secrets lost to time, or heirs to a knowledge from a drowned world? The marks on the granite, the precision of the joints, the alignment with the stars. They challenge us to imagine a technology that shaped history, then vanished. In the stillness of the Giza Plateau, where the pyramids rise like anchors against the tides of time, the wind carries a faint echo of water, a deluge that reshaped the world across cultures from the Nile to the mountains of Mesopotamia. Tales whisper of a great flood, a cataclysm that swallowed lands and left humanity clinging to survival. The Egyptians spoke of Adam emerging from the watery chaos of Non, creating the first earth. Sumerians told of Utnap-Pishtim spared by gods to rebuild after the waters receded. The Hebrews recounted Noah, his ark a refuge against 40 days of rain. Could these myths woven into the fabric of human memory preserve the truth of a global catastrophe 12,000 years ago? Did a flood erase a civilization that built the pyramids, leaving only their stones to testify? The flood myths of humanity are startlingly universal. In Greece, Deucalion and Pyrrha survived a deluge sent by Zeus, their wooden chest washing ashore on Mount Parnassus. In India, the Matsya Purana describes Manu, warned by a divine fish to build a boat before the seas rose. Indigenous Australian tales speak of coastlines submerged, islands vanishing under relentless waves. These stories, separated by continents and millennia, share a core, a sudden, overwhelming flood that reshapes the world, sparing only a few to carry on. Modern science offers a clue to their origin. Around 12,000 years ago, as the last ice age ended, global sea levels surged during an event called Meltwater Pulse 1A. Glaciers melted, releasing torrents that raised oceans by several meters in a century, drowning coastal lands where early humans likely lived. Could these myths be memories of that catastrophe passed down through generations until they became legend? The Younger Dryas, climatic shock 12,900 years ago, adds urgency to this question. For 1,000 years, temperatures plummeted, ecosystems collapsed, and human societies faced chaos. Some scientists propose a comet impact triggered this freeze, citing microscopic glassy spherules and elevated platinum in sediments across continents. Graham Hancock, a proponent of lost civilizations, argues this event obliterated an advanced culture, perhaps one that built the pyramids or their foundations. If such a people existed in the Nile Valley, their settlements along the ancient coast, now submerged under the Mediterranean, would have vanished as waters rose. The Giza Plateau, elevated and stable, could have been their sanctuary. The pyramids, a monument to survive the deluge, their purpose forgotten when survivors scattered. Egyptian mythology hints at this watery past. The story of Adam rising from the chaotic waters of Nun to create the first mound of land mirrors the flood myths of other cultures. This primordial mound resonates with geological truth. The Nile Delta, formed by sediment over millennia, was reshaped by rising seas. If a civilization thrived there 12,000 years ago, their cities could lie buried under layers of silt inaccessible to modern archaeology. In 1997, underwater surveys off Alexandria found stone structures, possibly predating the pharaohs. But exploration stalled due to funding and politics. Could these be remnants of a drowned culture? Their knowledge preserved in the pyramids' enduring stones. Conspiracy theories weave a darker narrative. Some claim global powers know of submerged ruins, but suppress evidence to protect the timeline of history. Satellite scans of the Mediterranean, rumored to show grid-like patterns off Egypt's coast, are said to be classified, hidden by governments fearing a paradigm shift. In 2015, a diver reported finding a carved stone slab near the Nile Delta bearing symbols unlike hieroglyphs. But it was confiscated by authorities. Its fate unknown. Such stories, while unverified, fuel speculation that the flood myths hide a truth too disruptive to reveal a civilization that rivaled Atlantis. Its legacy locked in Giza's stones. The global reach of flood myths suggests a shared trauma. In the Black Sea, evidence of a catastrophic inundation around 7,500 years ago when the Mediterranean breached the Bosiris shows freshwater mollusks buried under saltwater species. To coastal peoples, this would have felt like the sea swallowing the world overnight. Australian Aboriginal stories describe islands and coastlines lost to rising waters, their details matching geological records from 7,000 years ago. If such memories endured in oral traditions, could the Egyptians' tales of Nun reflect a similar catastrophe tied to the pyramid's origins? The Sphinx with its water-worn enclosure might have stood as a sentinel through these floods. Its erosion a scar from a time when rain and sea reshaped the land. The pyramid. Survival suggests deliberate design. Built on high ground, safe from the Nile's floods, they could have been crafted to withstand a deluge. Their granite sourced from Aswan 900 kilometers away resists water's erosive power. Unlike the limestone that shows rainfall's marks, some speculate the builders used hydraulic systems, channeling floodwaters to move stones, a technique hinted at in ancient texts describing boats carrying obelisks. In 2001, archaeologists found channels near Giza, possibly for water, but their purpose remains unclear. If the pyramids were built before the flood, their builders might have foreseen the cataclysm, designing a monument to outlast their world. Myths of boats add intrigue. Egyptian reliefs depict massive cedar barges capable of carrying multi-ton obelisks, a feat of engineering even for the Old Kingdom. Could an earlier culture facing rising waters have used similar vessels to escape or transport materials? The Sumerian tale of Utnapishtim building a boat to save life parallels Egyptian stories of divine boats navigating chaos. If a pre-Ice Age civilization existed, their boats might have carried survivors to the Nile, their knowledge shaping the pyramids. In 1984, a cedar ship buried near the Great Pyramid was dated to 4,000 years ago, but its purpose, ceremonial or practical, remains debated. Could it hint at a maritime tradition from a flooded past? The flood's aftermath might explain the pyramids' enigma. If a civilization built them before the Younger Dus, the cataclysm could have erased their traces. Villages, tools, and bodies, leaving only stone. The absence of predynastic remains in the Nile Valley supports this. Bones decay in wet conditions, and coastal settlements would now lie underwater. In 2020, a study of Nile Delta sediments found pollen from plants extinct since the Ice Age, suggesting a lush environment that vanished. The pyramids standing above the floodplain might be the last relics of this world, their purpose reinterpreted by later pharaohs as tombs or temples. If these tales of cataclysm and survival stir your curiosity, consider hitting like and subscribing and tap the bell to join us for more mysteries. Let us know where you are under the night sky and what time it is there. Let the ancient tides guide you into dreams. Under the vast dome of the desert sky, the stars above Giza burn with a clarity that feels eternal, as if they hold secrets older than the pyramids themselves. The Great Pyramid, its limestone edges sharp against the night, align with a precision that seems to map the heavens. Its four sides point to true north with an accuracy within a fraction of a degree, a feat that challenges modern surveyors. More astonishing still, the three pyramids, Khufu, Khafre, and Menar, mirror the positions of the stars in Orion's belt, a constellation sacred to ancient Egypt as the embodiment of Osiris, god of rebirth. Did the builders of Giza, perhaps 12,000 years ago, encode a celestial blueprint in stone, a map of the stars from a forgotten era? Could this alignment proposed by Robert Bourvil as the Orion correlation theory point to a time before the pharaohs when a lost civilization gazed upward to chart their place in the cosmos? The Orion correlation theory, introduced by Robert Bourvil in the 1990s, posits that the layout of Giza's pyramids reflects Orion's belt as it appeared around 10,500 years before the Common Era. The stars Al-Nitak, Al-Nam, and Mintaka form a diagonal line in the sky, slightly offset, just as the pyramids stand on the plateau. In that distant era, the constellation Leo rose in the east during the spring equinox, aligning with the Sphinx's gaze. This celestial mirror suggests the builders saw the sky as a sacred canvas. Their monuments are a reflection of divine order. Mainstream Egyptologists argue the alignment could be coincidental, noting that no texts from the Old Kingdom explicitly link the pyramids to Orion. Yet the precision of Giza's design, its mathematical elegance with proportions encoding pi and the golden ratio, hints at a purpose beyond chance, a knowledge of astronomy that feels almost otherworldly. Imagine the Giza Plateau 12,000 years ago, bathed in the light of a sky unpolluted by cities. People, their faces turned upward, track the stars' slow paths. They do not write, but their elders pass down tales of constellations, each star a marker of time and destiny. They notice Orion's belt, its three bright points, a guide for their rituals, using tools we cannot name, perhaps simple plumb bobs or star-sighting rods. They align their great work to the heavens. The Great Pyramid sides set to true north require observing circumpolar stars which never set to find the Earth's axis. The stars Mizar and Kacheb, ideal for this in that era, suggest a date earlier than the Old Kingdom's 2,500 years before the Common Era. Could these builders have been a pre-Ice Age culture? Their knowledge lost when the Younger Dryas froze the world 12,900 years ago. The pyramid's shafts deepen the mystery. From the king's chamber, narrow passages angled toward the sky, once thought to be ventilation, but now believed to target specific stars. Orion's belt and Thuban in Draco, the pole star around 2,500 years before the Common Era. If the pyramids are older, these shafts might have aimed at different stars in an earlier sky, perhaps marking a cosmic event or deity. Some speculate they channeled stellar energy, a concept tied to the granite's piezoelectric properties, which generate charge under pressure. In 1993, a robotic probe exploring the Queen's chamber shafts found a stone door with copper fittings blocking an unknown space. What lies beyond? A chamber, a record, or a device aligned with the stars? Conspiracy theories ignite curiosity. Some claim the Egyptian authorities suppress evidence of the pyramid's celestial purpose, fearing it would link Giza to a pre-dynastic civilization. In 2012, a leaked report suggested astronomers detected anomalies in Giza's alignments, hinting at a star map predating known history. But the data was never published. Could this be deliberate? A bid to protect the pharaonic narrative? Others proposed the pyramids were a cosmic clock designed to mark the precession of the equinoxes. A 26,000-year cycle where stars shift slowly against the horizon. If built 10,500 years ago, the pyramids would align with Orion's position then, a time when the Sahara was green, suggesting a culture with advanced astronomical knowledge. Global parallels amplify the intrigue. In Mexico, Teotihuacan's Pyramid of the Sun aligns with the Pleiades guiding ancient rituals. In Cambodia, Angkor Wat's temples mirror the constellation Draco, their layout a celestial echo. These sites, like Giza, suggest a universal impulse to tie Earth to sky. Could a shared knowledge, perhaps from a lost civilization, have inspired these alignments? The Nubian stone circles dated to 7,000 years ago mark the solstice, hinting at an African tradition predating Egypt's dynasties. If Giza's builders were part of this network, their star map might have served a purpose: navigation, ritual, or even communication with forces beyond Earth. The limestone blocks of the Great Pyramid Hune from the Giza Plateau hold more than the weight of ages. They cradle the ghosts of an ancient sea. Within their creamy surfaces, tiny shells and skeletal fragments of long-extinct creatures glint, remnants of a world submerged millions of years before humans walked the earth. These fossils, locked in stone, whisper of an ocean that once lapped over Egypt. But they also raise a deeper question. Do some of these blocks come from a time or place beyond Giza's quarries, perhaps reused from a civilization that vanished before the pharaohs? Could the pyramids with their fossil-laden stones be a double archive not only of a prehistoric sea but of a lost people who shaped them in an era before history's dawn? The limestone of Giza formed in the Eocene epoch 40 million years ago, when northern Egypt lay beneath a warm tropical sea, teeming with corals, mollusks, and microscopic creatures. This ocean left its legacy in the rock-coiled shells, fragments of ancient reefs, even traces of sea plants visible in the pyramid's blocks. In the 19th century, early geologists marveled at these fossils, noting their density in some stones, as if the rock itself were a solidified seabed. Most of the limestone was quarried locally from the plateau's bedrock, but certain blocks stand out. Their fossil assemblages differ, containing species not found in Giza's strata, suggesting they were brought from distant sites. Could these be relics of older structures dismantled and repurposed by later builders, their origins hinting at a civilization predating the Old Kingdom? Imagine a time 12,000 years ago when the Sahara was a green savanna and a people, perhaps survivors of a drowned world, worked the Giza Plateau. They quarry stone not only from local cliffs but from far-off ruins, remnants of a culture erased by floods. These stones, already ancient, carry fossils from a sea that vanished eons before. The builders stack them into the pyramids, their hands blending the memory of an ocean with the ambition of their own age. Some blocks heavier with shells or algae suggest a source beyond Giza, perhaps the Red Sea coast or a now submerged delta. In 1992, a geochemist analyzing pyramid limestone found isotopic signatures linked to distant formations. raising questions about their transport. Were these stones chosen for their strength or for a sacred connection to a lost past? Conspiracy theories ignite the imagination. Some claim the Egyptian authorities know of these anomalous stones, but suppress their study, fearing they point to a pre-Ice Age civilization. In 2005, a researcher reported finding a block with fossils unique to a quarry 300 kilometers away, but access to the site was restricted and the findings unpublished. Could these stones be fragments of an earlier monument built during the African humid period when rivers eased the transport of massive blocks? The mortar binding the pyramids, a gypsum blend, contains microossils from sources beyond Giza, and radiocarbon tests occasionally yield dates older than 400-500 years, though debated for contamination. If true, these dates suggest construction or reuse during a wetter era when the Nile's flow supported vast projects. The granite in the King's Chamber adds intrigue. Sourced from Aswan, 900 kilometers south. Its surfaces bear marks, spiral grooves, polished facets that defy copper tools. Some speculate these stones were cut by a lost technology, perhaps inherited from a culture that thrived before the Younger Dryas. Climatic shock 900 years ago, the granite's quartz, capable of generating electrical charge under pressure, hints at a purpose beyond structure. Could it have been part of a device? Its fossils a secondary echo of a sea that once covered Egypt. In 1988, a geologist noted quartz veins in some granite blocks, suggesting they were selected for properties we do not fully understand. Perhaps energy conduction tied to a forgotten science. Global parallels deepen the mystery. In Peru, Sakayuaman stones, some over 100 tons, contain marine fossils, suggesting a shared impulse to build with the remnants of ancient seas. In Malta, the temples of Havansha, older than Giza, use limestone rich with shells aligned to celestial events. Could these sites reflect a tradition of using fossil-laden stone seen as sacred for its connection to a primordial ocean? Egyptian myths of Nun, the chaotic waters from which creation emerged, might echo this, linking the pyramid stones to a time when the sea's memory was revered. If a pre-Ice Age culture built with these stones, they might have seen them as bridges to a lost world. Their fossils are testament to endurance. The night settles over Giza, the pyramid stones glowing faintly under the stars. Each fossil, a tiny relic of a vanished sea, holds a story perhaps of builders who knew the Earth's deep past and wove it into their work. Are these blocks mere quarry stone or fragments of a civilization drowned by time? Tell us where you are under the starry night and what time it is there. Let the fossil's silent tale carry you into dreams. The pyramids of Giza tower over the desert, their stones a testament to a labor so vast it seems to demand the presence of countless hands. Yet beneath their shadow lies a haunting absence. No bones, no graves, no traces of the people who might have built them in an era before the pharaohs. If a civilization perhaps 12,000 years old raised these monuments, where are their dead? Where are the words they spoke? The names they called themselves? The silence of human remains and lost languages is a puzzle that gnaws at history's edges, suggesting a culture erased not by malice, but by the relentless churn of time. Could their bones have crumbled under ancient floods, or their speech dissolved into forgotten winds? Every known civilization leaves traces of its dead burials, bones, or ritual artifacts. The Old Kingdom 500 years ago preserved its pharaohs in mummies, their tombs filled with offerings. Yet, if the pyramids predate this era, as some suggest, the absence of earlier remains is stark. Human bones are fragile, especially in the Nile Valley's shifting soils. During the African humid period, 500 to 500 years ago, Rivers and marshes dominated the landscape. Bones buried in such wet conditions often dissolve within centuries, leaving no trace. The Younger Dryas, a climatic freeze 900 years ago, might have driven survivors to higher ground, abandoning land graves to floods. If a pre-Ice Age culture built the pyramids, their cemeteries could now lie under the Mediterranean, submerged by rising seas during meltwater pulse 1a. Conspiracy theories whisper of darker reasons. Some claim Egyptian authorities found predynastic remains, but hid them to protect the narrative of pharaonic origins. In 1978, a dig near the Sphinx uncovered bone fragments dated to 8,000 years ago, but the site was quickly sealed and the findings never published. Were these the builders' bones suppressed to avoid rewriting history? Others suggest a deliberate absence. Perhaps this culture practiced cremation, scattering ashes to the winds or sky burials, leaving bodies to vultures as seen in ancient practices elsewhere. Such rituals would leave no skeletal record, only the enduring stone of the pyramids. The language of these builders is equally elusive. Ancient Egyptian, first written 5,000 years ago, belongs to the Afroasiatic family with roots in North Africa and the Middle East. Yet, some words in its earliest texts, archaic terms for stars or tools, resist translation, hinting at a substrate language from a deeper past. Could these be echoes of a pre-Ice Age tongue spoken by those who carved the pyramids? Place names along the Nile like those untraceable to Arabic or Coptic might be linguistic fossils surviving from a time when the Sahara was green. In 1995, a linguist studying Nile Valley toponyms suggested some predate known languages, but research stalled, fueling speculation of a cover-up to hide a lost culture's voice. Myths offer clues. Egyptian tales of Zepi, the first time, describe an era when gods or divine beings ruled, their knowledge shaping the world. Could this be a distorted memory of a people who spoke a language now gone? Their words carried only in oral tales. The god Thed with inventing writing might reflect a tradition of recording knowledge, perhaps in symbols we cannot read. In 2010, a rock carving in the eastern desert dated to 7,000 years ago showed geometric shapes unlike hieroglyphs, suggesting a protocrypt. If such a language existed, could have named the pyramid's purpose a star map, a power source before fading into silence. Global parallels deepen the mystery. At Göbekli in Turkey, 11,600 years old, few human remains accompany the massive pillars, suggesting a nomadic people who built but left no graves. In Peru, the Nazca lines, etched into the desert, lack associated burials, their makers' bones lost to time. If Giza's builders were similar seasonal gatherers uniting for a great work, their dead might be scattered across a vanished savanna, their language preserved only in the stone's silent geometry, the pyramids enduring where bones and words did not stand as their final testament. Beneath the sands of Giza, secrets sleep, hidden not only by the weight of millennia, but by the choices of those who guard the past. The pyramids towering over the desert seem fully explored, their every stone mapped and measured. Yet vast stretches of the plateau remain untouched, cloaked in sand or buried under the sprawl of modern Cairo. Ground-penetrating radar hints at structures, rectangles, tunnels, perhaps entire cities lying unseen, their discovery stalled by politics, funding, or something more deliberate. Why have these depths remained unexcavated? Are the pyramids the tip of a lost world, their true origins concealed by time and human hands? The Giza Plateau, one of the most studied sites on Earth, is far from fully revealed. In the 1990s, Seismic surveys detected anomalies beneath the Sphinx cavities or passages that could be chambers. But excavations stopped, citing risks to the monument. In 2008, radar scans near the Great Pyramid revealed grid-like patterns suggesting buried foundations. Yet no major digs followed. The Nile Delta, where ancient settlements likely thrived 12,000 years ago, is now covered by farmland and villages, making exploration nearly impossible. These unprobed areas form a shadow archive, a record of what might have been a civilization predating the pharaohs. Its traces hidden by sand, water, and human reluctance. Conspiracy theories cast a long shadow. Some claim the Egyptian government, led by figures like Zahihawas, restricts digs to preserve the narrative that the pyramids are Old Kingdom creations built for 500 years ago. In 1972, a team reportedly found a sealed chamber near the second pyramid containing metallic objects unlike any known Egyptian artifacts. But the site was closed and records vanished. Such stories, though unverified, fuel suspicion that authorities fear discoveries that could link Giza to a pre-Ice Age culture. The Younger Dryas, climatic shock 12,900 years ago, might have buried such a civilization's remains under flood-deposited silt, now inaccessible beneath modern settlements or the Mediterranean Sea. The mechanics of archaeology amplify these blind spots. Excavation is costly and slow, requiring permits that are often delayed by bureaucracy or political concerns. In the Nile Delta, rising groundwater threatens to dissolve mud brick ruins before they can be studied. In 1995, a construction project near Memphis unearthed pottery dated to 7,000 years ago, but the site was quickly covered to prioritize development. Military zones and restricted areas further limit access, leaving vast swaths of Egypt unexplored. These barriers suggest that our view of history is a patchwork shaped by what we can afford or are allowed to find. Global parallels highlight the issue. In Turkey, Göbekli Tepe, 11,600 years old, was buried under earth for millennia, only uncovered by chance. In Indonesia, Gunung Padang, a megalithic site possibly older than Giza, faces excavation limits due to local disputes. These cases show how easily history can be hidden, especially if a civilization's works were submerged or eroded during the post-Ice Age floods of Meltwater Pulse 1a. If Giza's builders lived 12,000 years ago, their smaller structures, villages, workshops might lie under the sea or sand, leaving only the pyramids enduring stone. Conspiracy theories push further, suggesting deliberate suppression. Some claim global powers aware of advanced predynastic technologies hide evidence to maintain control. In 2015, a leaked satellite image reportedly showed a rectangular structure beneath Giza's sands. But the data was never released. Others point to 19th century digs where artifacts deemed anomalous, like tools with unknown alloys, were allegedly removed to private collections. These tales, while speculative, reflect a truth. Archaeology favors famous sites like Giza, neglecting less glamorous areas where clues to an older culture might wait. The pyramids themselves may hold hidden evidence. Their limestone blocks, some with fossils from distant quarries, suggest reuse from earlier structures. In 1987, a geologist found a block in the Great Pyramid with microossils not native to Giza, hinting at a source lost to time. The mortar containing charcoal dated to before the Old Kingdom raises questions of an earlier construction phase. Though contamination is debated, if these materials predate 500 years, they could point to a civilization active during the African humid period. As traces buried by the desert's advance. The night over Giza is a canvas of stars, the pyramids standing as gatekeepers to a past we cannot fully see. Are their secrets locked in unexcavated sands? guarded by time or human will. The blind spots of archaeology challenge us to question what lies beyond our reach. The Giza Plateau lies hushed under a velvet sky, its pyramids rising as silent giants, their shadows pooling like secrets across the sand. For millennia, these stones have stood, weathering floods, empires, and the relentless march of time. They have watched stars shift, rivers vanish, and civilizations rise and fall. Yet they offer no answers, only questions that burn brighter with each passing night. Are the pyramids the work of pharaohs or relics of a world before the Ice Age? Built by a people whose names are lost? Do they hide chambers of ancient knowledge? Machines powered by the Earth's pulse? Or messages from distant stars? As we stand at the end of our journey, the desert air cool against our skin, let us weave these mysteries into a tapestry of wonder, embracing the eternal enigma that invites us to dream of truths yet to be unveiled. The pyramids of Giza, with their precise geometry and celestial alignments, challenge every assumption about human history. The Great Pyramid's base, aligned to true north with an error of mere arc minutes, encodes mathematical constants like pi, suggesting a mastery beyond the copper tools of 500 years ago. The Sphinx's water-worn enclosure, studied by Robert Schoch, points to rains from a greener Sahara perhaps 7,000 years past, hinting at builders who knew a world of rivers and lakes. These clues, woven with myths of floods and star gods, suggest the pyramids might predate the Old Kingdom, standing as survivors of a cataclysm like the Younger Dust 900 years ago that reshaped the globe. Yet, the absence of bones, the silence of lost languages, and the unexcavated sands keep their origins shrouded, daring us to imagine a civilization erased by time. What if the pyramids are more than stone? Their granite rich with quartz hums with zoelect electric potential generating charge under vibration. The king's chamber resonates at 110 Hz. A frequency that feels alive to those who stand within. The hidden void discovered in 2017 stretches 30 m above the Grand Gallery. Its purpose unknown. Perhaps a chamber for a device, a record, or a truth too vast for our age. Conspiracy whispers claim authorities hide such secrets, fearing they link to Atlantis or extraterrestrial hands. From Göbeklit's ancient pillars to Pumapunku's laser-cut stones, global megaliths echo Giza's ambition, suggesting a network of knowledge that spanned continents. Now buried under sand or sea, these threads of floods, stars, and lost technologies form a riddle that resists resolution, its pieces scattered across the earth. The beauty of Giza's mystery lies in its refusal to yield. Each clue, a fossil in the limestone, a groove in the granite, a myth of divine builders opens a door to possibility, then closes it with ambiguity. Were the pyramids a gift from starfarers? As Eric Fondon proposed, their alignments are mapped to Orion's belt 500 years ago. Did Atlantean refugees fleeing a drowned world carve the Sphinx to guard their hall of records as Edgar Cayce envisioned? Or were they human triumphs built by ingenuity we underestimate? Their secrets lost to floods and desert winds. The lack of answers is not a failure, but a call to wonder, to hold the unknown as a spark that lights the imagination. Picture yourself standing before the Great Pyramid as dawn approaches, the first light brushing its weathered blocks. You touch the stone, feeling its warmth fade into coolness, sensing the weight of ages in its grain. The stars above, once guides for builders, begin to dim, their paths unchanged since a greener Sahara bloomed. In this moment, the pyramids are not just monuments, but portals, inviting you to step beyond the known, into a realm where history blurs with myth. They ask you to see a Nile Valley 12,000 years ago, alive with voices in a tongue we cannot speak, hands shaping stone with tools we cannot name. They urge you to dream of a future where a hidden chamber opens, revealing scrolls, crystals, or a truth that binds earth to sky. This eternal mystery is Giza's gift. It does not demand belief, only curiosity, a willingness to question what we are told and to seek what lies beneath. The pyramids have seen the world change from savanna to desert, from flood to fire, yet they stand. Their silence, a challenge to our fleeting lives. They remind us that history is not a line but a spiral, looping back to moments we may never fully grasp. As you stand here under a sky that has watched empires crumble, let the unanswered questions become a lullaby, soothing yet stirring, carrying you toward the edge of dreams. The desert grows quiet, the pyramids' shadows lengthening as morning nears. Their stones etched with fossils and scars hold memories of seas, rains, and stars, but they keep their deepest truths close. Will we one day find the key? A buried chamber, a forgotten text, a signal from the cosmos that unlocks their purpose? Or will they remain forever enigmatic, a puzzle that humbles and inspires? For now, let the mystery be your guide, a star to follow in the night of the unknown. If these ancient riddles captivate your heart, consider liking and subscribing to wander deeper into the past with us. Share where you are under this endless sky and what time it is there. Let the pyramid silent song draw you into dreams. Good night.